Good morning, crime community. I'm here to read out a new book. It's called Poe and the British Magazine Tradition by Michael Allen. It's going to read the dust cover. So we got a little new friend here. And he's a very controversial figure. Let's just see what this book cover says. This is a book that was written in 1969, the same year as the Manson murders. So it should be in the same vein, should it not? It was written in the same year. Poe and the British Magazine Tradition, Michael Allen. The career of Edgar Allan Poe as journalist, critic, editor, and writer exemplifies more clearly than that of any American author of his age the literary artist's struggle to preserve his integrity against the demands of a developing mass audience. Charlie Manson wasn't ever working with the Beach Boys. In the complex strategies Poe's devised to deal with his particular situation, Mr. Allen holds lies much of Poe's continuing interest for the modern world. Viewing Poe not as a unique offshoot of American culture, but in the long perspective of the British literary tradition, the author shows how Poe consciously tried to solve the quality-popularity dilemma by adopting certain British journalistic conventions in his own ends and audience as he conceived it. The study focused upon Poe's career as a journalist between 1835 and 1849, reaches into the early 19th century literary background which formed Poe's taste. His wide reading in British journals like Blackwood's and the New Monthly. He shows how, with all intensity, all his own, Poe used the Blackwood formula and other British journalistic conventions, projecting a literary personality in the same way, engaging in the same kind of critical controversy, striking a similar self-consciously learned pose in his fiction, criticism, and general writing. It's like, do you think the media had anything to do with the image of Charlie Manson? Same thing going on here? I don't know. Exploiting the hoax in a similar way and imitating several of the British modes of magazine fiction, in particularly the burlesque. My mother worked in burlesque in the 1920s on Broadway, and the horror tale. Poe's the inventor of the horror tale. See, I thought Poe was born in England. I didn't even know he was born in America. I thought the horror tale came from England. Came from Edgar Allan Poe and the British writers before him. Poe was born in America. He likens Poe's efforts to the attempts of such writers as Coleridge, De Quincey, Bulwer, and Wilson. We need to get used to these names because we're going to be mentioning them as time goes on, to satisfy simultaneously the demands of both the aristocratic and an expanding audience. Think Manson's audience expanded after, it's like the presses were rolling before the even trial began. He was pronounced guilty before the trial even began. Continue on, Steve. In the adoptions Poe attempted to make to the growing demands of American publishing, Mr. Allen finds the source of his desperate statement: to be controlled is to be ruined. Can we relate to that? And of his painful vacillation between obeisance to the many and the virtual construction of the imaginary elite for his dream magazine, an obsession which persisted to the end of his life. See, basically, he was just a magazine editor who wanted to edit his own magazine. Clearly and cogently argued, Mr. Allen's study explores Poe's attitudes towards facts and fiction, prose and poetry, and also discusses the audience as an important part of the literary experience. It puts Poe firmly in place as part of a European journalistic tradition, exaggerated and dislocated by American reality, yet essentially unassailable to establish American culture patterns. The one thing about there's one guy in this thing that is Poe's nemesis. I can't remember his name right now, but it's in the list. And when I come across the name, I'll mention it. But I would say that this guy's Poe's literary nemesis would be Charlie Manson's Vincent Bugliosi. So when we get to the guy who's the bug of the Poe trial, I'll let you know. In Poe and the British magazine tradition, Michael Allen has written a book dutifully significant for the understanding of the complete Poe. As a comparativist study of British and American cultures in the 19th century, it becomes essential. Norman Holmes Peterson, Yale University. The book strikes me as one of the few studies written during the past 10 years that really says something new about Poe. I had always suspected that Poe had borrowed a great deal from the British quarterlies, and I never realized how deeply indebted he was in style, critic approach, literary assumptions, attitude towards the audience, etc. To the English magazine, Allen has demonstrated this debt with great acuteness and insight. Daniel Aaron, Smith College. So when we go into the book, it's 1969 by Oxford Press. Preliminary, the writer and his audience. Poe's reading of the British magazines, the Blackwood's patterns in Poe's journalism, Poe's elitism and stylist, Poe and the British magazine tradition, Poe and the bigoted British magazine tradition. So we're just going to let this go for another day. I got more books coming on Poe. If you looked at a post that I made yesterday, you'll see a picture of that I took a picture of a book from the early 1800s of Poe that was reprinted, and all the pictures were not uncut on the bottom of the book. So when they printed the book in 1813, they forgot to uncut all the pages. Well, I don't think I'm going to be uncutting the pages because I have to keep it in its original form. So if you think there's any truth or like to what I'm saying here, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.